Hello everybody, and welcome back to Crash Course Literature. My name is Kaylee Gaston, and today we are going to be discussing Slaughterhouse 5, a novel written by Kurt Vonnegut, an American novelist not only known for Slaughterhouse 5, but also Cat's Cradle. Now, before we start to get into the more in-depth kind of symbols, motifs, and themes of the book, we are going to need to know a little bit of what goes on. To start off, you're probably wondering what Slaughterhouse 5 is even about. And to tell you the truth, after reading it, I'm thinking the same thing. So, Taylor Huffman, why don't you give us a simplified plot of Slaughterhouse 5?
Slaughterhouse 5 is the story of Billy Pilgrim, a decidedly non-heroic man who has become unstuck in time. He travels back and forth in time, visiting his birth, death, and all the moments in between, repeatedly and out of order. The novel is framed by chapter 1 and 10, in which Vonnegut himself talks about the difficulties of writing the novel and the effects of Dresden on his own life. In between, Billy Pilgrim's life is given to us out of order and in small fragments. One of the major points that he travels back to frequently is his time as an American POW in World War II. That is actually how he found himself in Dresden on the day of the bombings.
Thank you so much for that plot summary, Taylor. Now, just so you know, Slaughterhouse 5 is a very difficult novel to follow, let alone with the timeline and the story hopping around from different points in our antagonist's life. But, just like many authors, I'm sure Kurt Vonnegut did that for a reason.
Miss Gaston, what do the Trofima and Nina news have to do with the plot? Did they really abduct that guy?
Well, the Trofimonias make frequent appearances in many other of Vonnegut's novels. To tell you more about their appearances, here's Pedro from Crapstone, Oregon.
Actually, the Tralfamadorians are a great place to start for that subject. Their wibbly-wobbly perspective of time, being able to see all things at once, gives us, the reader, and Billy an interesting perspective on the happenings of the war.
Thanks for that information, Pedro. While you're at it, I remember getting an email from you about wanting to be the speaker on this week's Symbols, Themes, and Motifs, while our chosen speaker, James Carter, only submitted a video of himself eating spaghetti for 2.5 minutes. We're gonna need to stand in. So, what are some symbols, themes, and motifs you picked up from Slaughterhouse 5?
Billy, knowing, or at least thinking he knows that everything is predestined, gives us an interesting perspective of what it's like to view the war as a historian. Everything is transcribed and has already happened. This almost depressing, nihilistic approach to life presents Billy a broken concept of individuality. The illusion of free will for him is broken, and he's now become nothing more than a lowly and unimportant member of not only his predestined war, but also to the rest of his life. This doesn't stop him from enjoying what he can, but certainly taints his perception of what it means to die and live, and what a futility it is to consider free will and human effort anything more than a jest. Being able to see through time, it's quite fitting that Billy is an optometrist. The business was handed down to him after his father's death, and he takes to it quite well. All this association with sight can't be without irony, though, because although Billy's job is to correct vision, Billy himself is a blinded man psychologically by the war. So goes the book. After every death, there is a marked "so it goes." And this isn't just at the passing of a war hero or a sniveling degenerate, or if it's by the thousands or only a single person cared for only by one other. No, this "so it goes" is a toast given to the death of everything, including a bottle of wine that had died by going flat the last night in the refrigerator. This Tralfamadorian phrase, "so it goes," gives a comforting tone to every passing, following the alien concept, that even if something is dead, they are still very much so alive, just in a different moment, and always will be. But at the same time, marking every death in this book ends up being a sobering tally of "so it goes." Lastly, something uniquely interesting. The book starts off from the first-person perspective of the author himself, Kurt Vonnegut, but once the scenery is established, it transitions to follow the bizarre experiences of Billy Pilgrim. The author himself then only goes on to appear infrequently and briefly throughout the story of Billy, giving us moments of a broader perspective, or perhaps more narrow, that Billy is still just a shell-shocked, surviving soldier struggling to fit into the human world.
Wait, If Billy time travels with the then does the book go in chronological order?
Are you kidding me? You still don't understand? I gave you a simple plot. I gave you symbols, themes, motifs, the usual. I had people your age doing this so that you could understand, and you still don't have a clue. I don't know why I even bother to do these shows anymore. I work hard. I want them to be good.
Sorry everyone, we're experiencing some technical difficulties right now. Here's Sarah from Paducah, Kentucky to tell you about the author.
Hey guys, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about our author, Kurt Vonnegut. He was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, and attended Cornell University. He eventually dropped out to enlist in the United States Army and was deployed in Europe during World War II. He was captured by Germans and was forced to become a refuge in a meat locker, better known as Slaughterhouse 5. A little while after that, he spent 2 years at a writer's workshop at the University of Iowa and received a reward for his research in Germany. He became a pretty well-known writer after that and used the funds that he earned from his writing to travel back to Dresden, where he discovered that about 135,000 people had died there.
Thank you for that, and I'm sorry I lost control. Again. But I have a special surprise. We have a special guest, Kurt Vonnegut. Are you excited? It's the actual author of Slaughterhouse 5. Mr. Vonnegut, what are some specific themes of all of your works that you think pertain to your younger audience, specifically their careers and their maturity?
Well, I based it off of my own life. You see, I was born and raised in Indianapolis and then attended Cornell University. Then I dropped out in January of 1934 and enlisted in the United States Army. I was deployed to Europe to fight in World War II and was captured by the Germans during the Battle of the Bulge. I was interned in Dresden and survived the Allied bombing of the city by taking refuge in a meat locker of the slaughterhouse where I was imprisoned. So I definitely used my own history to depict what Billy went through. I was also able to go to Dresden to see the aftermath of the bombing in 1967 after I received a Guggenheim Fellowship.
Mr. Vonnegut, final question. What exactly inspired you to write Slaughterhouse 5? I'm sure all of us would like to know.
I think the message of any strong book to a reader is you are not alone. Other people feel as you do. There are a lot of lonely people out there who are not nourished by popular entertainment or even maybe by the advice of their stupid parents or whatever. I hope good books let young people figure things out for themselves and to know, hey, I gotta find somewhere else.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vonnegut, but I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. Make sure you tune in next week for Crash Course Literature, where maybe I won't have a mental breakdown. See ya!